all you. Go ahead and start.
Excellent. Well, good morning. My name's Alan. I'm with Impact Water Products.
Great name.
I'm the technical director there. And basically what we do is we do water treatment. We're a contract assembly company for a lot of the large companies in the industry, especially in the water softening, water conditioning industry. We supply a lot of the major, basically companies that do water treatment. Our specialty is in filtration, whole house, commercial, industrial, residential, of course. Did you get it going? No. I'll grab that for you. Kind of unique in that our company has got several people who have 30 plus years in the field experience in regards to water treatment. So anytime you guys have a water quality control issue, whether it be for an apartment, a hospital, hotel, or just a house, a well, you're always welcome. My name is on the card. My cell phone number is on the card. The cell phone is on me 24/7. Unless I'm on an airplane, I'm basically available. And we have two other people at the shop who have as much experience, if not more than I do. I've got 30 years. One of my guys has 35. The other guy has 32. So in the field, actual experience. We are a full line product supplier. So we're not a one component shop. We don't just have one technology. Because we're a contract assembly company, we are not a marketing company. So a lot of companies that sell equipment, they have one specific piece of equipment. In other words, we have this amazing piece of equipment and it's the best, everything else sucks. If you were to name any of the components out there, any of the water systems out there, I won't mention any of the names, but if you were to mention it, I could point you to the page of what their equipment is or their design. Some of the most popular ones, we basically assemble all of those units for a lot of those companies. When it comes to the marketing aspect, we're here to basically offer you guys your own branding, or we're actually starting a new branding program, some obscure name that's going to go off, like Super Water, whatever it's going to be. We're still working on it. We are Impact Water, so we do have that branding, but because it's kind of a large name, it's big out there, we really don't want our name out there. Again, we want your name out there. You guys are not a small company. You're not John's Plumbing, who works out of his garage and has, a pickup truck, and that's it. So it makes more sense for you guys to be putting your name out there rather than somebody else's. Selling somebody else's equipment, of course, you get into the problem of competing with the online sales, people going online, researching and finding it in 12 different other companies and calling them up trying to save $12. I understand your current equipment is what we consider the oxymag or the magnetic technology. I'm so sorry about that. I need to learn how to turn my phone off. So, sorry. Okay. So you guys are currently using what's called a magnetic water treatment technology device. That is basically a carbon tank with a magnetic module inside. Now there's tripole, dipole, there's all different versions of that. If you go in the catalog, you'll notice that we have several magnetic water conditioning systems. And I believe the one that's closest to what you're using is the one on page 22 or on page 21. Now again, I won't be mentioning names, but I'm pretty sure I know who you guys are using. Currently they use this magnetic module inside. We distribute this magnetic module. This goes inside the carbon tank. Now this has, and I'll pass this around, this has some magnets inside. It's a ceramic magnet, but take a look through there. That's the restricting flow rate inside the system. Now, even though we're a competitor, we still buy and distribute that product line. This is the one that we make ourselves in-house. And you can feel the magnetic poles across it. If magnetic water conditioning works, ours has about 20 times more magnetic capability. We're not a big believer in magnetic technology, even though we are Oxymag, we are the manufacturer. We make thousands of these modules a month and ship them all over the country. They are somewhat effective. The main advantage to them is they are the lowest cost scale reduction technology. They have the absolute lowest cost when it comes to making a piece of equipment. The primary item in there is, of course, the carbon. The carbon removes chlorine, chemicals, odors, tastes. It has a lot of properties that are spectacular. You get in the shower and the water tastes like bottled water. So that's a great thing. The actual magnetic module inside may or may not work. A lot of times it does, sometimes it doesn't. So you run that magnet up and down it, you can see how much power ours have. Also, if you look through it, you'll notice that the flow rate on ours is basically non-restrictive. Ours is a full port, 1.32 inch. On theirs, it's a very, very reduced port size. Now, would anyone ever notice? Probably not. As you guys know, as no plumbing, you've been to houses that are built in the 20s and they have a half-inch main line, and nobody complains about the flow rate. The real issue, of course, is velocity, noise, humming, but the potential for restriction is still there, especially on larger houses. We don't really like that module on anything bigger than like a 3/4 inch main line house. Ours, we actually make ours up to 3 inch for special applications. Obviously, we wouldn't do it on a house. Houses typically limit at about 2 inch for the largest houses. So magnetic technology, great, inexpensive, limited in its capabilities. We're not, again, because we're the marketing not the marketing company, we're not the rah-rah company telling you it's the greatest technology ever and everything else is terrible. We do let our customers kind of guide them in ways to sell equipment that's effective. But again, for the price, it's really hard to beat the magnetic module. I won't give any pricing, obviously, but that'll be for you. But it is by far the least expensive and one of our most popular technologies because of the price. When it comes to the actual equipment, I am here always. Whether you bought it from me or not, as long as it's a FLEC or a CLAC system, currently the one you guys have is a CLAC system. If you go to page 20, you'll probably recognize the one that you guys have. Page 20, it's called a CLAC valve. It's the WS1. It's our second bestseller. The bestseller is on page 21. That's the FLEC 5810. Both of those valves are basically Ford and Chevy. They're top of the line, USA made.
What
You
page?
really can't beat them.
Sorry?
20.
I'm on 20, so
Sure.
you said
So,
20.
20 is if you look at the valve on top of the tank,
Right.
that's you're probably very familiar with that one.
Okay.
That's what you guys are probably currently using. Again, a spectacular valve. We use the two main manufacturers in our industry are FLEC and CLAC. And again, they're Ford versus Chevy. Some companies hate CLAC, some companies hate Ford. But when you come right down to it, they're both, you're throwing ridiculous things either way. They're both great. They both have their problems, they both have their limitations, and they both are manufactured in the US, pretty much the highest quality. There's about 20 other companies that make valves across the world. Most of those are pretty bad. I used to rep 3 different companies, and they were just basically knockoffs, just cheap imitation knockoffs, much lower cost, but massive problems. And still to this day, even after 20 years of making them, they still can't get the problems corrected. It's an ongoing joke in our industry. Instead of imitation, we go to imitation. Or instead of innovation, we just go straight to imitation now for the Chinese overseas companies. So when it comes to service, maintenance, or technical calls, whether you bought it from Impact Water Products or anybody else, I don't care. Our team is there to help you with programming, on-site troubleshooting. It's running to the drain. I've got an error code. Because we are reps for CLAC and FLEC, part of our job is to assist you guys. Whether you bought it from us or not, we don't care. We're glad to help you. My cell phone number is on the card, so please call if you guys have a question out in the field. My cell phone number, again, it's right on the card, and that is available. Don't worry, if you're on the job, you get a call at 3 in the morning. I don't care. Just call me. My wife gets a little upset, but she's pretty cool about it. So, any questions on what we do? Filtration. If you guys have the catalog, I do highly recommend, as you guys are growing in your knowledge of water treatment, because water treatment, you're already in restaurants, hotels, and houses. To leave money on the table, to not change their filters at the RO, to not offer, products that will benefit your customers, it's going to leave a lot of money out there. I'm sure you guys work hourly plus commission, you guys have all kinds of programs that can help you out. But if you go to page 2 and 3, you'll see that a lot is our table of contents. You'll see little tool sets. The little tools indicate that those are technical articles. These are written by our company over the years. Some of these are 20 years old, some of them are brand new, but articles we write for trade magazines. So a lot of the information in there is in our catalog. A lot of it's just how to size a softener. Why do we do this? If you guys go to a house and they have a well, and I got some contaminant, I've got some weird chemical. If you go to page 9, you'll see we have a list of contaminants. If you go on our website, that is now 2 pages long. Our website catalog gets updated on a regular basis. This has grown to over 2 pages of contaminants, what causes them, how to reduce them. So someone gives you a well report and look, you got NBTE. Well, go to the list, there it is. You got boron. Here's the maximum allowable, you're well below that, we don't have to worry about it. Fluoride. You guys are familiar with fluoride, of course, in the water. How to reduce it if the customer wants it. We've got ways of doing all of that. The really important thing is when your customer asks, well, can you guys do this? The answer is absolutely. Let me call my tech who actually knows what he's doing, who's really knowledgeable. Because, I'm a great plumber, I can fix anything in your house. When it comes to the really complex stuff, let me talk to my guy at the shop, and that's me. I am your guy at your shop. I do job walks. I basically put on a blank t-shirt or whatever you guys want. I can put your shirt on. It doesn't matter to me. We're not out here to promote our company. We're out here to basically get you guys to move this product line. So I go out, if you guys get an opportunity that you're not familiar with, a hotel, a hospital, a big apartment complex where they've got some issues that's water quality related. Call me. I'm only an hour away. I'm always available. If I'm in town, if not, Jerry or Francis, our 2 other guys, our 2 other techs, are pretty much one of the 3 of us will be able to meet you, usually within a day, if that's what it needs. I do travel all over the country, so if you guys are growing and you get an opportunity with one of your big customers outside of the area, I'm probably going to be in that town within 6 weeks anyways. So don't hesitate to throw me that, give me the opportunity to help you guys grow that business. Any questions on water treatment? We do softening, traditional softening. Are you guys familiar with water treatment in a house? You guys are doing the magnetic conditioning right now, correct? I think it's, are you guys using a Halo style system? I think those are an excellent system. They're basically, as you saw, the magnetic module inside of a carbon bed. When it comes to tankless water heaters, the real problem is scale reduction is not enough. I'm sure you guys are familiar with tankless. Some of my biggest customers are the guys who do tankless water heater changeouts. And I have to laugh because as I'm training them, I go over to their house and they put in all these fancy technologies. Each one of them, they're all trying to do salt-free technologies. Every one of them has a salt softener at their house if they have a tankless. Or most of the tankless guys put in a tank water heater at their own house. That's always my favorite. Very few of the tankless water heater guys actually have a tankless at their own house. They want something that's just super reliable, cheap, and holds up forever. Even though they sell them, they don't promote them to themselves. In our industry, in the water treatment industry, we all sell salt-free technologies. What we have at our own house, salt softeners. Just traditional old salt softeners because they work. Now they take a little salt, they take a little maintenance, just putting salt in the tank every once in a while. But they're the most effective treatment. They're kind of the old school, simple, very reliable. And now, in the last 20 years, they've become very efficient. They use about 1/3 the amount of salt they traditionally used. It's a product line that I would recommend heavily, considering. We are working right now on a 6-page little trifold that'll kind of get, it's going to be marketed for your companies where we can just drop and drag, put in your names, your information, your little marketing lingo, and then we can customize it to the product line you guys want to offer. But we're doing a good, better, best, which will basically be good is magnetic, better would be traditional softening. And the customers we don't want to give the customers 20 choices, like our catalog, 300 pages. It's just too overwhelming. But do you want, the really fancy high-tech, or do you want the traditional works perfect every time solution? Some people like Ford F-150s, some people like little, Honda Civics. 2 simple choices, totally different beasts. It doesn't get that confusing, it's simple to do. But I will tell you this, true salt softening we have 0 complaints on. Every one of our scale reduction technologies is a constant problem. It's a constant calls, complaints. Now, we put out 10,000 a month, so softening we get 0 calls on. Scale-free or salt-free technologies, that's all the calls. Now, it's not many, but compared to salt softening, which is 0, any amount is significant. So, it's not working. It's not, and we don't take them back. We don't, because the price point we sell them at, we are a manufacturer and distributor, the marketing aspect, we don't take them back because it didn't reduce the spotting. We don't take them back because it didn't do scale reduction. We build them to your spec or to everybody's spec. I mean, just name any of the companies that you hear on the radio, and we basically make that type of equipment. No real difference. There's no secrets in this industry. So it's all pretty much straightforward. We know all the medias. We've been doing this, 30 plus years. We've developed a lot of these scale-free technologies. Most of them were basically to go after softeners as a marketing tool, not as an actual functioning item. So honesty in the sale is the most important thing when it comes to these. We hear a lot of companies, when you see the marketing, it removes everything. It works perfect. All the spotting's gone. The soap works great. As opposed to using words like it reduces the problems. It lessens. It makes the water better. It makes the water taste better. You'll have less problems. You put those expectations on the homeowner that they're not expecting a miracle. If someone were to sell you a car and say you're going to get 100 miles a gallon and it does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, that's awesome. You get in the car, it gets 8 miles a gallon, and that kind of sucks. So put out realistic expectations. I'm here to help you with that. If you read through our literature, because again, we're not the marketing company, we're the manufacturer, you'll notice there's very little marketing lingo. It's facts, information, it's more technical oriented. Now, we help you with the marketing literature. We're here to help you guys write that up, make it fancy, whatever you guys want, that's what our job is to help you with that. But as a manufacturer, we have to be straightforward. We're very much again, just a facts company when it comes to the equipment, because that's what our customers need. They need the real information. Then they go through and we help them with the marketing aspect of it to make it sellable, sound fancy, and neat. Kind of like when Ford buys glass for their F-150, piece of glass, 1/8 inch thick, laminated with a top black strip. You look on the Ford website, amazing new glass technology with UV inhibitors, it's all this great lingo. Well, we're the guys making the part with just the information. Then the marketing's up to you. But again, of course, we help you with that. So any questions at all on systems, sizing? I mean, I can go for hours on how to install them, what size to put in, and all that. Yes.
Yeah, I had a question regarding the purge kits and the Van T.
Yes.
Can you explain that to us?
Absolutely. So on the double barrels, these are, Pelican is actually one I can use. We're Pentair Distribution. Pentair now owns Pelican. Now we assemble, obviously, for Pentair. So it's a weird relationship, but whatever they want. We do thousands of these units a month. Now, when we do it without doing under a certain name, some people don't want that. But if a company a lot of companies just order 50 double barrels, ship them out. They get the Van T and the purge kit automatically, unless they request not to get it. The purge kit is because the carbon tank, when they're brand new, we have a dedusting system. You guys are always welcome down to our facility. We have a huge facility in Ontario. But when we fill the tanks with the carbon, we use a dedusting carbon. We pay a little extra, but when they manufacture the carbon, they basically load it with a vacuum system that pulls out most of the dust. Now, obviously, when you take a bunch of carbon and ship it and pack it and grind it, it makes a lot more new dust. So when we fill the tanks, we, again, dedust it. We actually have a dust pulling system, so when we load the carbon, it sucks out the vast majority of the dust, the fines, the ash. Because it is coconut shell carbon, it's very hard, it lasts a long time, but regardless, it's always going to be dirty and dusty on a new startup. Ours, very minimal, very easy to start up. The purge kit basically is a garden hose adapter that you use to hook it up to clean it out really quick, so you can start it up at the homeowner, get in, install it, get out in less than an hour. Most of the time it's going to be done on the installation. A lot of systems, you're going to be there for 2 or 3 hours firing them up, trying to get the dust out, you backwash it, it's black, it's nasty, it takes forever. On our systems, they're very clean. It's a lot of extra work on our part at the shop, but then the purge kit really finishes it off. That is basically, you can knock that between the inlet and the outlet a couple of times with a garden hose. It's a quick connect, and that allows you to flush it upward, downward, upward, downward. We just kind of bounce it back and forth. Another real unique thing that we do in our carbon tanks, these non-backwashing, this is a really popular system, page 25. Again, this is a very popular system called the double barrel. This is the Pelican system. It goes under PuraFlow, Pelican, Lifestream. It goes under 20 different names. But this is we call it at our shop the green weenie. It's a really green, hippie type of technology, no electricity, no wasted water. There's a lot of drawbacks. Nothing is free. You do not get to get 50 miles of the gallon. I got a little hybrid car. I get 48 miles a gallon. It accelerates horribly, it's tiny, it's compact, it's not comfortable, but dang, I get great gas mileage. I have a big Ford F-150, you know, big, comfortable, I love that thing. I will pay the extra gas money any day of the week to drive that over my, you know, my little green machine. But I like them both. So this is your hybrid green, super efficient, but the water quality is not going to be as good out of this design. And you can read through there, there's actually an article in the black at the very bottom, upflow versus downflow. They both have their problems and negatives. But the purge kit allows you to quickly fire it up, and you leave it on site. Now, when we have that system, if you go downflow, the carbon's packed, so the water has to go through, just like on the Halo, the carbon bed is packed tight, so the water has to force its way through. It's going to be very clean, filtered water. Imagine a 5-gallon bucket, fill it with sand, put a hole in the bottom. Now, pour water in the top. That water's going to work its way through the sand, out the hole, and be filtered through the sand very effectively, obviously. Now, reverse that. Try filtering it up through the sand. What's going to happen? That sand's going to simply push away, and the water's going to go through, push the sand out of the way the whole time, out, and basically never get filtered. So these are available upflow, downflow. Downflow, what's going to happen to the sand over a year? It's going to get full of dirt. It's not going to work. It's going to get plugged. So that's the negative, but you get much better filtering. You go upflow, you don't have to worry about it plugging, but you get poorer quality of water through the carbon because we fluidize the carbon bed. The carbon's always being pushed out of the way of the water. So again, nothing's free. This is very complex stuff. Takes years to really master. Never do. But understanding the real basics, it does help. The Band T, again, if you just order up a double barrel and don't tell us any specs, it just automatically comes with it. This is a cheat. Just like the Halo, you guys get lemon shine, right, with every Halo still? I don't know if you guys still get that.
Yeah.
Okay, you still get that. So it's lemon shine. 1 teaspoon in every dishwasher load. It's a cheat. It's so the customer, instead of 50-pound bags of salt, it's marketing. But again, instead of big, huge bags of salt, we're going to use a teaspoon of this in every dishwasher load. It's an acid. It's a citric acid. Your dish is going to come out really clean. It basically takes away the calcification issues inside your dishwasher. Also, your dishwasher is going to suddenly go from, your stainless dishwasher is going to go from white to being stainless again. Takes 10, 20 washes, but each wash you're going to descale it a little bit more. So it's basically gives the effect that your system is working when it may or may not be. The magnets, again, they may work, they may not. Sometimes they're very effective, sometimes they're not. There's too many variables in water. So the Band T is just a cheat. It's cheap, and it's also something that you guys can sell them on a regular basis. I think you pay maybe $8 for the stupid thing, sell it for 15. But that bottle that comes with lasts a very long time if they use a teaspoon every dishwasher load, or less, just a tiny amount. Enough to keep the dish clean, or just tell them to go buy lemon shine when they're out of that. If you guys don't want to, is it worth the headache to sell a $15 item? Sometimes not. Just tell them when you're out of this, just use lemon shine from Target for $5. So that's what that is. It's basically lemon shine, but without. It's just one that we bring in by the container load, bring in our pallet loads of that stuff all the time. Any other questions?
What's the flow rate on the double barrel?
So we've got a lot of information in this catalog. If you go to page 25, the double barrel, again, identical, or not identical, but very similar to the Pelican system. We do have service and peaks. So a service flow rate is the flow rate where it's functioning effectively and filtering properly. The peak flow rate is what it can flow. So if you were to go to a restaurant and want to put one of these in, and you kind of say, oh crud, they got a Sloan toilet. A Sloan toilet can use 8 to 10 gallons a minute. Now it only flushes for 5 to 10 seconds, but it's a very high flow rate for a very short amount of time. So if you look at this, you had 2 of those, you would not want to put the smallest one in. It's exceeding its peak. What a peak, now our peaks are a little different. These actually will flow a lot more than what the peak shows. What we've added, we had to put a peak in there originally because we didn't have a special device we just added to the system this year. It's taken us a couple years. We've been developing what we call a floating gravel bed. If you guys have ever torn one of these systems down, you'll notice that there's a tube going to the bottom. In the bottom, there's a gravel bed. Well, in the top, there's nothing, just a cheap little screen. Well, on all of our systems that are not backwashing valves, they all have a very heavy duty top screen. It's like a bottom screen. Most companies use the cheapy one, we use the very heavy, expensive one. Similar to the screen right there, I mean, it's that really heavy bottom screen design. So we don't have problems, but the real problem is that the carbon, when you go at high velocity, the carbon comes up, clogs up that screen, and then you get no flow to the house. All of a sudden the flow rate drops, and dramatically and quickly. So we've added into all of our systems the anti-scale and upflow or downflow carbon, because we never know if people are gonna plumb them in right, what's called an anti-gravity dispersion bed. It's literally floating gravel. So if the carbon comes up, now instead of hitting the screen and clogging it, it actually hits a gravel bed that's protecting the top screen. Acts like the bottom screen, but it floats. Pretty cool. Again, we've been developing it for a couple of years. We just got it approved and got it through, all the NSF, FDA, and all that approvals. It's an FDA food grade. It's the same material they use, it's plastics that they use to make all of your food trays with. So it's a specific gravity of 0.9. So it's lower specific gravity in the water, so it floats. But it's just like a floating gravel bed. So that has actually increased our peak flow rates. So in the next catalog coming out about a year and a half, 2 years, those peak numbers will go up, but the service will stay the same. The service is what we're looking at the most important. If you look at the a Pelican system, their most popular is the 844 or the 948. Those have service flow rates of up to 4 to 5 gallons a minute. Service flows max. That's fine for most houses. We do recommend the 10 by 54 because the cost difference is minimal. The equipment looks much more impressive. The systems are 50% larger for 10% more cost. The 1054 in almost every system is the go-to. A couple of reasons is the 1054. We bring in container loads of that out of Chardon, Ohio every month. So cost-wise, we're contracted out. We have to buy X amount a year, which is a massive quantity. So we pay the same prices as we do for the smaller tanks, just because of the quantity, because they can just run that machine for weeks on end, as opposed to putting in a 948 840, so they run for a couple days, then mothball the tools for a month. So the 1054 is our go-to, but the peaks on those you can see right on the charts. Upflow is the Pelican. Downflow is a lot of the other companies. That is the preferred method. You'll notice that the peaks are about the same, but your service flow rates are greater. Even though it's the same size tank, the reason the service flow rates are greater is because the downflow packs the bed. We're not running the risk of jamming the top screen, and we put more carbon in them. We can put a lot more carbon. Yes?
So my understanding of these, when you have you're seeing a 1054, so that's 10 inches in diameter, 54 inches high. That's just the size of
the tank only.
The tank only.
Yes.
So same if it's an 844, it's 8 inches diameter, 44 inches high.
Yes, and we are going to add a line in that shows the actual height, because a lot of people, it measured out, they got this thing, it's 44, that's cool, they put a 40,
right,
and it's 46. So the actual numbers will be in the next catalog. And if you guys go to our website, on a lot of these pages, if there's a clickable page, in other words, you go and you see this page here on the website, and you go over it, and then all of a sudden it turns like white, that means there's an updated page. Click on that, and you'll see a lot more new data. These catalogs, obviously, they're very time-consuming. I work on these, thousands of hours a year to maintain and get these catalogs out. I'm in the process of doing catalog number 3. It's 3 hours a day for the next year and a half before I'll finish it. So it's just unbelievable hours. And I usually come in on the weekends, just the whole weekend. So a lot of those pages get updated on the website as I have time. But anytime you guys have questions on these, don't hesitate to call me. My personal preference, just so you know, for really high-end, good quality, and considering what you guys are probably paying, because we're not a marketing company who's reselling equipment that we bought from someone else, had to ship in, and then we have to warehouse, and then pay for all the marketing, pay the salesman. We're just the manufacturer. We turn it, we burn it, and we're done. We assemble and get it out the shop. So our costs can be much lower. Compared to what you're paying now, the page 24, the double barrel backwash for salt-free technology, that is our go-to. That is our absolute push on high quality, high performance. We don't guarantee that it's going to descale. I mean, we just don't. And we work with companies. A lot of companies, they guarantee it. That's fine. Understanding that for however much you're selling it for, you have to build in about 10% returns. If you're going to guarantee performance, build in 10% into your price that you're going to take 10% back and eat it. There's a better way to do it though, when it comes to that, and this is more for management to decide. Guarantee that if they're not happy, you'll switch them to a softener at no charge. So you're not losing the sale. You're gonna eat an hour of labor to go swap it out to a traditional softener, but that way you don't lose the sale. Just drop in a softener. And they're always happy with that. So if they're on the edge of whether they want this or not, most people, if you sell it right, are quite happy with the double barrel backwash. But this gives you the performance of downflow carbon without the drawbacks of it getting packed down with dirt and mud over the next year or two. Upflow is just absolutely awful, but it's the cheapest, easiest way to do it, and that's why it's so popular. Even though its performance is nowhere near as good as other technologies. Again, even on the page 25, downflow, upflow, it's perfect, that works great. As long as you don't have a lot of dirt, sediment, silt in the water. So page 24, that's always our preferred, it's the most expensive, and that's not why I think it's the best, it's just it is the best performing. It does require electricity, it does require a drain, but this thing only needs to backwash once a month for 10 minutes, and it can go to the lawn. It's a tiny amount of water. It's on a large system, it could be as little as, say, 75 gallons. Over the course of a month, that is about 10,000 gallons. So for every 10,000 gallons, you're going to need to use up 50 to 100 gallons to keep that water super clean in the house. So the numbers are just spectacular on efficiency. It's, you know, it's a very highly efficient design. It's impressive, and it's probably way less than what you're paying now for the system you're using anyways. Impact 5, the i5 series, page 22, is very similar to what you're using now. Again, that if you're just comfortable with that, we can put the clack valve on to keep it consistent because you guys are already comfortable. We just, on the i5 series, that's our marketing, just to kind of show you what the marketing aspect of it is. Page 21 is identical, just without the fancy, we can build it anyway. So keeping it similar, if we just put the valve on page 20 onto the system on page 21, that's basically what you have. The jackets are an optional item. We have multiple jackets. We do all the stickering for you. If you guys provide us the stickers, we'll do it. If you guys don't want to provide the stickers, but you want stickers, I do it. I design it. I make the, we do all the work with it. I've got a printing guy, old friend of mine for 20 years. Huge printing shop. He does all the printing for K&N and air filters. Gives us great pricing. He's very quick on the turnaround. So he does all the fancy stuff. So we can do all the marketing and stickers and literature and little things with your company name if you want as well. Again, we're here to help you with all of that. Just be aware, the hybrid XLs that you see on page 18, 19, those are discontinued. Have a little trouble with one of the parts. Until we can get it retooled, those are basically gone. Now, my favorite, page 12, by far one of our best marketing / old technology designs. It's a carbon and a softener, good for any regular size house up to, say, 3 bathrooms, 1-inch main line. Page 12, that is traditional softening with a carbon tank stacked on top of each other. It works flawlessly. This gives you the best of everything, except it uses salt. But with salt, you get no scale. There is no calcium, there is no magnesium in the water. We're not modifying the cellular the structure of the ion. We're not magically making it not stick. We are removing calcium magnesium. Without calcium magnesium, you do not get scale. Now, there is one very important caveat to that, with the understanding that if you look at your city water reports, if you have silica in the water, silica, there's no realistic treatment for it. It can simulate hard water, so no matter what technology you have, if you have silica, I'm sure you guys have all seen the etching on the shower doors, and you can't clean it. If it's scale, your little acid, it takes it off. If you take acid and it doesn't clean off the shower doors, that's silica, it's etched, it's permanent damage, there is no solution. The only real solution on shower doors and faucets and all that nowadays with silica, most of those come with a hydrophobic coating. So most of the shower doors now have a special coating so it doesn't get etched by silica. That's been the only solution. So replace them. Your dishes at my house, because we have 35 parts per million of silica in Riverside, I have a softener, I have a carbon tank, my water's beautiful. I just throw my clear dishes away every year because they look terrible. In about a year, they start to look white.
Does this do anything for metals?
This one does not specifically do anything for metals. We can add in to the upper chamber a KDF media. Now, I don't have that. We have a new design. If you go to page 14, it now looks just like what you see on page 12 because of a brand new media we just introduced about 3 months ago. It's KDF, but it's done in a new format where we don't have, KDF is an amazing media, it's the best media ever made, but it has some very serious problems. If it's not treated perfectly, it just makes a mess. So with the new KDF version we're running, I've been running it for 8 years in testing. 9 years. 9 years in testing, and it's been perfect. So we're finally introducing it into a large scale.
What do you mean by treated perfectly?
This is if you can imagine, this is a copper and zinc alloy. They take copper and zinc, mix them, crush them, and grind them into a little slivers, like metal shavings when you drill. That literally is a tank full of metal shavings. Now, that takes 30 gallons per minute per square foot. I'll simplify it. It takes a huge amount of water to lift it up, to backwash it. Carbon and softening resin, we just use a little water, we lift them up, we get the media moving around, we mix it up, and then put it back into surface. That's how we clean it. This media, at massive quantities of water, that stuff just does that and falls back down. That's all we got to do to keep it from turning into a brick. If we don't lift it and get it to clean itself, it literally turns into a cement block in about 3 to 5 years. So it's been a very amazing media when it's used properly. Most companies don't use it properly. A lot of companies, now this is marketing, a lot of companies put this media into the catalytic, the carbon magnet system. They just drop it into the bottom of the tank, knowing that in the literature, our system includes KDF, which removes, KDF removes heavy metals and leads and mercury. They didn't say their system does. It's marketing. Read the literature. You'll kind of laugh once you realize some of the marketing. The KDF does this, but it's not applied properly, so their systems do not do that. Now, do they have that in the water? Probably not, so who's going to test? And who's really going to go through and test it anyways? The literature says it removes it, so okay, I'm good, I don't have to worry about it. So 99% of people never even test. But if you're going to test, you have to do it right. So the KDF, the new version of KDF, we actually take it, we powderize the copper and zinc, we take it from a sliver into almost a powderized form, then we embed it into foam, into literally a polyfoam, we expand it like popcorn into cubes, and then we fill this tank with those cubes now, put a filler base so it no longer needs backwash. It eliminates the need for backwash, so the media never turns into a brick. It's awesome. I've been using it because it's such a risk, we've been putting it into filters for years. Because those, it's a $4 filter, $10 filter, I don't care if it doesn't work. Customer calls up and complains, I'm not worried about it, it's not a big deal. When we're doing a whole house, if I put out 10,000 of those and have them fail, that's a huge cost. So after many, many, many years of testing it, we're very confident that we can use it because we have had 0 failures of the media. Now in this media, we always have failures, the old style media. So just by reformulating it, we still get all the benefits. It didn't really add any cost was the other problem. Always cost has been an issue. Added very little cost, but the performance was as good, if not better. So that's exciting. Our new catalog actually has the new version of this, and I can always email you over that. But yeah, if you want heavy metal reduction, KDF, with a traditional softener. If you have heavy metals, are you guys aware of any water quality issues on heavy metal? It's very unusual, very unlikely, because the cities have to supply you with water that's very strict it has to conform to very strict rules. They're not allowed to have lead, mercury, certain levels of toxins. They have to keep it very, very low.
So real quickly about that, you guys, so what he's saying is true, yeah, we have to treat the water at the source, where it comes from. So let's just say water factory. Well, how is the water factory delivering the water? In some cases through 100-year-old pipe. And what's in that 100-year-old pipe? We don't know. And then what's inside the home? We don't know. So is your water, it leaves the factory in one condition and it shows up in your house in another. And so that's something that you need to emphasize to the homeowner. These are shared pipes, very, very old pipes in many cases. You hear about these pipe bursting and you see it on the news and water coming out of the ground and buildings flooding, etc., etc. Well, also what happens is, and then they tell you boil your water for a few days, okay? That's because contaminants got into there. Okay, so you never, never, never know what's gonna happen in Flint, Michigan, people got lead poisoning seriously bad, the best way to treat your water is at basically point of entry or point of use. Point of entry would be your main line coming into your house. Now you have control. Okay, if you don't do that, you have no control, and you don't know what's happening. So, anyway, that's it.
No, excellent.
One other thing, heater treaters, do you have them?
Yeah, we
Okay.
make, the heater treater, again, it's an old design. It's not a preferred design, it's just a minor variance. We make
Yeah.
it, but we make a much nicer version of it. I'll show you that. We took that design and we've never liked it, so we made our own design many years ago. Page 174. Now, this is an old catalog page. You go to our website, we've updated that. It's very similar. So we do them in clear or blue. We do them in Pentec or Atlas filtering. Just to give you a quick background on what we do as a company and why we're here, I was a rep for one of the big OEM distribution companies that sells all the bits and pieces for companies to make this stuff. They brought me on to sell American products, to have an American face, an American name. You know, it's obviously a Chinese company, but they brought me in to basically Americanize it. I negotiated out with Pentec and all these companies, big companies, to bring in large quantities of great quality product. And I quit there because after 6 months of negotiations, I got a tank from Pentec made in Chardon, Ohio. I think it was for $52. It's something then out of China we're paying $51. When we found out shipping, transportation, taxes, everything was $51 versus $52. So $1 more for USA made. In a system that we're selling for $400, so it really added a negligible cost. It was 0.2%. It was completely just who cares. The owner, all right, sounds great, love it, good job. And the next day, I walk over to the purchasing desk and I see an order for 4 containers from China. It's like, really? We're gonna skip an American-made product or an American company for $1 on something. It's like, this is ridiculous. So I ended up quitting on that day. It just drove me crazy. My 2 business partners, same thing. They worked for Watts Corporation. Watts is a great company. They used to be very good in the water industry, but they've taken all their business out of California. They've basically, I don't know if they've given up on water, but they certainly have not really pursued it because it's such a small portion of their business. They're not hungry. We have basically decided as a company to not source from overseas companies if it's available from a higher end company at a reasonable price. Now, there obviously are some components that just aren't available, made in the US or Italy or Germany or Canada. We just can't. The price is $10 versus $100. Obviously, that's kind of silly, so we're not going to do that. But for the most part, almost every one of our systems is sourced with components as much as possible from the US, Canada, Italy, Germany, Australia. We got every country represented in some of our equipment. The Scale Eliminator uses the Pentec on page 174. We call it the Scale Eliminator. It's just our branded name, but if you guys want it under whatever name, we just can't use somebody else's, obviously. Scale Eliminator is our in-house brand. That's a patented name, whatever they call it, copyrighted out. But if you look on the far right, you'll see the old traditional heater treaters, heater cheaters, whatever they're called, where they basically take a sediment filter, put some balls down the middle core, and plug the ends. The problem with that design is if you watch the flow path of water, if you ever do a dye test on a filter, the water comes in the filter housing, goes down about 1 inch, through the filter, and out. It doesn't go to the bottom. It doesn't make any sense. What's the path of least resistance? The shortest path. So until that gets plugged up with dirt, then the water starts moving down to easier paths. But the water always comes in and out the top, so it really never hits that polyphosphate well. The water never flows across it. If you've ever taken them apart, you'll notice that the bottom is just full of all the junk, all the mush at the bottom. It all fell and the water's kind of ignoring it. So we make that design because it's the cheapest. A lot of the companies we sell to, they want the quality. They're willing to pay $1 more for a USA-made filter, but I can get it for $18 and your really good one's $19, I'll take the $18. That's silly, but whatever they want, we're fine with it. The correct way is on the far right side. You see the one with the blue cap? Mm-hmm. That is a chamber. Now that is now converted to clear. That just switched over last month to a clear filter. So you can actually physically see that the media is being consumed. It's pretty cool. It just took us a couple of years to qualify the new part. So it's clear. It has almost four times more media than the stuffed core design. There's no disadvantage. You only get better performance. So it's superior in every way. The only real disadvantage is it costs a few bucks more. I think it's like $4 more to do it right. for the cartridge. Your cost is negligible on the cartridge anyways. You guys should be selling them for a great margin. And when you're getting them from us, again, because we are the distribution company of those filter housings, the cartridges, we source all of these direct from the manufacturers, our pricing is probably gonna be half of what you're paying anyway. So, okay, instead of being, you guys are probably paying 30 for a cartridge, from us it's gonna be, for the really good one, it's gonna be 16, 18, I don't know. So it's gonna be dirt cheap. So there's no reason not to upgrade. And these fit in everyone else's housings too. It's not like them, it's exclusive to ours. We try to keep most of our equipment generic or semi-proprietary at best. When we say semi-proprietary, what that means is, let's just say we got, on page 175, those are Omnipure filters. The problem with that is Omnipure part number 6721-H. Anyone can go online and find that and buy it around you. So on stuff like that, if you don't tell us not to do it, we peel that sticker off and we put a generic sticker on so that your customers can't buy around you. It's not so that you can't buy around us. These are available from 20 different companies. So you can hate those guys, want to buy from someone else. You can always do that. We do very little proprietary stuff that you can only get from us. We don't think that's good business to basically lock you into us, because if we fail you, you can only get it from me, so you're, too bad for you. That's not a good business model. At least it also forces us to basically always take care of our customers to the best ability. When I was working for this Chinese company, we sold 10,000 ROs, and when he hit 10,000, that's when the guy stopped caring, because they got to buy it from him anyways. So basically, middle finger to all of you guys who bought it from me. He fired a bunch of people. Didn't have to have that many people maintaining the company anymore, because he had all the residual income. That's really bad business. And his molds went to garbage, so, major messes. So this type of stuff, the scale eliminator, available 10-inch, 20-inch. The blue clear one is made in Italy, the housing. That is also now available in 1.5 inch. We're the only company that has a slimline 1.5 inch version. As you're well aware, if you ever run the numbers on hot water systems, 1.5 inch, I think, we actually have it in our catalog, is rated to like 12 gallons a minute, 13 gallons a minute, according to Uniform Plumbing Code, because hot water velocities have to be kept much lower than cold water velocities. I think 3 feet per second is pretty much typical. Cold water, you can hit up to 8 to 10 feet per second, or almost 3 times the flow rates on cold water versus hot water. So the 1.5 inch, it's kind of a cheater. Now you guys are well aware, when you install water treatment equipment, softeners, conditioners, filters, you are absolutely not allowed to reduce pipe size, period. Uniform Plumbing Code is very strict on that. There is no allotment for reducing. I don't know where it came from, but it's 30 years I've been told you can reduce one pipe size. You cannot. There is no allowance in the code that says you can reduce the pipe size. But that doesn't mean you can't cheat it. So if you look at a lot of our equipment, like the CK, the clack valve that you guys are using, even though it's only a 1-inch valve, the thing will flow 20 gallons a minute. What house needs 20 gallons a minute realistically? Ever. It has 1.5 inch sweat connectors. It has cheaters. So you can not reduce pipe size, even though you are reducing pipe size. So code compliance is met. We may be stretching the code a bit. We may be not, maybe not perfect, but it's close enough. So these do have adapters going up to 1.5 inch on the residential. Understand that I've been to houses that are 18 bathrooms, and they have a Sears softener that flows 7 gallons a minute peak. I mean, a little tiny little piece of garbage, and it's 18 bathrooms. Obviously, that's not the right size. And 2-inch main line dropping down to a 3/4 inch softener. That's crazy. But so these flow at 4 to 5 times what any system does out on the market. So you really don't have to worry about once you put in a clack or a fleck. They were designed in the industry for commercial applications. They just simply use them very popularly in residential. All of these valves are pretty much what you'll find in every restaurant, hotel, hospital. You're not going to find Sears units or canisters or any of the Chinese knockoffs. They really don't have any presence in the commercial industry. So whole house filtration, sediment filters, I'm sure you guys have seen, we do all of that. The ROs under the sink, the filtration under the sink. I am a fan of RO under the sink, but it must have leak protection. That is without fail. We pretty much, if you guys order an RO from us, you'll almost always notice that one of the lines is, if you don't tell us, it comes with a leak detection and shut-off device. That's why ours costs $30 more, because it includes it. Now you can take it out if you want, up to you, and we can revise the price accordingly. But understand that, you know, we have enough experience and time in the field to know how not to, how to minimize claims and problems. And that is so important, legal, minimizing your claim potential, because water leaks are really expensive. If you guys go to page 178, 179, you'll see, again, because we're contract assembly, we're not a marketing firm, we do make hundreds of ROs to meet customers' needs. And actually after this, I am going to my metal guy to have a new bracket made for a new RO for a new customer. They got a weird project that they want done for a restaurant, 600 ROs, so they have a special color and shape and stuff. So we customize these for everybody. But in most common, really popular is the on page 190, 191, the 4-stage version, the one you see on page 191. This is updated on our website very nicely. Because this was actually, when I did this catalog, this was not even available. This is actually a bad Photoshop. If you look in the middle, you can see where I photoshopped the two pieces, cut it in half and glued it back together on Photoshop. But this is, we typically do the 4-stage. It's an NSF listed system, includes the faucet, the tank, and then we put the leak detector on the side. It's a quick change design, made by Pentair, really popular, really simple to install, very high end. So if you just want a quickie, right off the shelf, you don't have to order it, don't have to think about it, that's kind of the one to go to. The negative is it's an expensive system. It's definitely not the cheapest. But it is by far, for the price, it's probably our best going. Always good in stock, and that's you just pick up and not to worry about it. The problem is it's not adaptable either. You cannot make changes. So if you want to put a different faucet on, we cannot do that. Just take the old faucet, throw it in the truck, sell it on eBay, I don't know, do something with it. If you want a different faucet, you have to order the faucet separately because it's NSF. If we make any changes, it's no longer NSF. So it's up to you guys to do that. We can't do it in the shop. Really, nobody can. We are working on trying to get that as a module, but they're not. They're too busy keeping those out. So we do all of the point of entry, point of use. Oh, you mentioned Flint, Michigan. That was an excellent point. Flint, Michigan's a perfect example of what can go wrong. They actually, the city got, you guys heard about Flint, Michigan, a lot of lead poisoning. Does anybody know what really happened though? Really, most people think the city screwed up and got a really bad water source full of lead. That's not at all what happened.
No.
They actually got a very good water source. They got an excellent, beautiful, pristine water source. They put this beautiful, clean water through old pipes and stripped a bunch of garbage and lead off the pipes. Literally, it was the good water that caused the problem, it wasn't the bad water. So everything has an effect when you're dealing with water. Just like, I'm sure you guys have been to a house and I like my water heater cranked all the way up. Well, that's a great way to kill grandma. You know, she's got a little dementia, that's stupid. You got, certain things have to be considered. So when it comes to water treatment, especially on wells, don't do them without talking to me. I'm here to help you. I'll walk you through it. We have all the testing kits. We have companies we can send you to for testing. But when it comes to well water, don't consider municipal and wells. The difference is, even though a city may pull their water from wells, that's not well water. That's still municipal. If it's a controlled supply by the city, that's municipal, whether it comes from a well or a lake or whatever. But anytime you're on a well or a private homeowner who has their own water supply, whether it's from a lake, canal, or well, call me and I'll walk you through that. It's very dangerous. 99% of the time, it's a quick, easy fix, couple little treatment processes, we're done. I'm working on one right now, a small house, a guy living out on his own up in Utah. My equipment cost to my dealer out there is over $50,000. It's a desal. We actually has 18,000 parts per million of water. What that means is basically take seawater and like a gallon and put in a cup of clean water. That's what he has. That's what he's trying to treat. That's virtually untreatable at any reasonable amount without getting into incredible costs. Commercial stuff, don't say no. Don't ever say no to commercial unless your boss says so. But when if you're a guy's house working in a system, hey, I got a sizzler. Can you come take a look? I don't know if you guys do that, but you have me. So I've done every restaurant chain, every hotel chain, every hospital I've been in, every country club. I've done all the water treatment for those for the last 30 years through my dealers. And I used to work for, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, the largest company in Long Beach, the largest commercial water softening company in California, Southern California area. They basically own the market. And I was their main guy for over 10 years. So I've been into every restaurant, hotel chain that there is, doing their water treatment. So there's no reason, it's easy to do. You know, the first couple times it's tough, but after that, it becomes it's an easy process, because when you go to a hotel or a restaurant, I'm sure you guys have this experience in any commercial work you do, they need a toilet fixed at a hotel. They don't care that it costs $300. They want the dang toilet fixed. That's what they want. They want their customers happy. A homeowner, oh, $300, oh, it's always that, you know, and I understand that. But commercial stuff, they really tend to be a little freer, because again, they're dealing with a $10,000 invoice, $50,000, you know, this, that, and the other, and then some guy comes in for $300. Fix it and go away. They don't care. So that little type of money to them is tiny. To a homeowner, it's a lot of money. So, any questions I can help you guys with on this?
I think we're good.
Perfect. And again, I'm not a sales guy. I'm a tech. I'm a 30-year technician out in the field. So you're always welcome to call me with questions, how to program, why it's giving an error code. Again, whether you buy it from me or not, I don't care. I'm always available to help you guys out. You guys are also always welcome to our facility to come see us, see what we do, see what processes we have, and product lines. We've got pretty much everything on display there as well. But any questions you have, just give me a call anytime. All right, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm just gonna throw a couple things real quick before you guys head out. I think it's been a long meeting, so just make sure, as far as I'm sending out a text, making sure that everybody knows that you need to watch the videos. If you're not in the meeting, you need to watch the videos. So I just want to make sure that you're letting us know, hey, I watched the video, by responding back to us on any of the meeting days. That's one thing. We're going to start doing that immediately. Truck stock for HVAC. If there's something you guys need and use on a regular basis that you don't have, I need to know what that list is and how many of them. And I don't mean extra amounts, just exactly what you need. So if there's something that you guys don't have, I need to know what that is, and so we can keep a list going and make sure you guys have that. And then also, when you park the trucks out front, please make sure that you keep it where the cameras are, if at all possible. A couple people have been lately parking them a little out of view, and we don't want something to happen to one of the vehicles, batteries being taken out, whatever. So please make sure that happens. And then also, I'm going to reiterate cleaning of the trucks and keeping them clean. It really sucks when someone uses a truck and then they drop it off out here the night before. Maybe the intent is to clean it in the morning, but they don't do it. And they're not here to clean it. Someone else gets the truck and they're getting in a dirty, filthy truck. So the expectation is you get it clean. You make sure it's clean when you get it back, before you leave. Okay? Any questions? All right, that's it. Thanks.
As far as the parking out front, Alan, can we kind of maybe reiterate to some of the